All right. Okay. So hopefully that's me live now for everyone to see. Let's see who starts coming in. But I'm just going to start in. So yes, guys, I am going live right now. Um, Basically, I'm just wanted to come in to talk about obviously the fantastic news that we've gotten recently about the Avatar Studios with Mike and Brian creating up an entire studio for all Avatar content, and it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to. I'm tentatively excited just because don't want to get my hopes up too high just in case. So I'm kind of keeping very mild with the whole situation. But with the whole news that there is a studio dedicated to new stories about Avatar, I wanted to do this video basically to just kind of discuss things that I would be interested in seeing and just hear from you guys as well as to what you yourselves would be interested in seeing. I think the main thing for me, so because it's all sounds predominantly like it's going to be all animated movies, maybe some series as well. I'm just intrigued as to how it's all going to go. Um, I know there have been some concerns that some people have already brought up about the fact that they don't know how, if it's going to saturate the market, if it's going to overdo it, and especially considering all the stuff that happened with Legend of Korra, and most people aren't very divided about how Legend of Korra ended up going, due to obviously all the issues that Nickelodeon had. I know that Nickelodeon have new like management team involved, so hopefully they're not going to have the same issues that they did with Legend of Korra. So hopefully anything that happens now is going to be kind of get the justice it deserves without Nickelodeon's interference. I've just seen Archangel just say, "Yeah, no, it's literally very recent news. I think it came out on like Thursday or Friday. It popped up on the news." I think Mike and Brian both posted about it, and then lots of the people have been talking about it as well. Um, That's all we've gotten so far. We don't really know anything else except that there is currently an animated film in the works. Um, oh, I'd love an animated version of the Kyoshi books. Oh, that's actually something I do want to talk about. So this is going to be kind of a controversial opinion. I don't want the Kyoshi books to be animated whatsoever. More because not enough people have actually read the books for me to be happy with the idea of an animated show, because it's like that whole thing of like when something's made into a movie, people usually don't end up reading the books to begin with. I don't want that to happen with the Kyoshi novels. The Kyoshi novels are fantastic as a novel series, novel duology. I think turning it into an animated show is just going to lead to more people not reading the books. Like, there are so many people in the Avatar fandom that I realize haven't even read the books now, and they've been out nearly 3 years now. Like, the second book came out last year, didn't it? So they've been out. It'll be nearly 3 years this year that the books have been out, and so many people still haven't actually read them. So I kind of don't want an animated series of the Kyoshi books to be made because they didn't appreciate the books when it first came out from the fans. So I don't think turning them into an animated series is really going to be of a benefit to the books. It's just going to mean less people are going to read them anyway. Um, but what did come from the books, which is something I do want to mention actually, is that I think Yang Chen should have her own series or movie of some kind from what we got information wise from the Kyoshi books, in that Yang Chen, even though she was a good avatar, she also wasn't really as good as it was made out for her to be. Due to the fact that she focused more on the humans and neglected the spirits, which led to Karuk obviously having to deal with the mayhem, which led to him being dubbed the worst avatar. Um, oh, I did. That yeah, that's a good point. I do see the point with that. See. This is the thing. The books need to become more popular for them to actually get translated copies as well. So that's kind of an extra thing as to why I feel if they were ever going to do it, I hope they do it much later, because the books need to get more recognition for like things like translations to actually happen. But no, I completely agree with you. I do see that point of view. Um, I think my whole thing is just like for that reason, it's like it's not gotten popular enough for things like translations to actually be made, because considering how big the Avatar fandom is, you'd think it would have gotten really, really big, but the books really haven't, and it's kind of disappointing in that regard. It's like there are more non-Avatar fans that I know who've read the Kyoshi books than actual Avatar fans, and that's just weird. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. But I do get to do like translations need to be done. Oh, hey Michael, hi. Um, but yeah, from the Kyoshi books, Yang Chen is the character that I think if there was any like known avatars that we have at the moment that I would like to have an animated series for would be Yang Chen, just to kind of understand a little bit more about her. We don't really know much about her in general. We do know that she's like a really beloved avatar, but she did have her issues in that she did focus more on humans than spirit connections and spirits as a whole. So it'd be interesting to learn a little bit more about her in that way. 'Cause she's the one we know less about than any other avatar. Um, but I think the other thing is, as just as a whole, I know so many people are talking about how they want the gang, that like a series or film about the older gang. Firstly, that's the comics. Oh, have they only just published that and comic? Yeah, I've just seen that here as well. Um, and they only just published the comics. That's sad. Um, oh, what's this? Not sure if this has been discussed, but I think the Chibi Comics announcement shows that there will be more publications, not just animated material. Yeah, no, I think they are going to be doing more comics and stuff like that as well alongside it, which may come under the Avatar Studios. I'm not too sure, but it'll be interesting. Oh, and thank you, Tia. It's on Netflix if you're interested. I would recommend starting with Legend of Korra first, but that's just me. But just in general, I think I'm maybe one of the rare few that I don't want to see the older gang in an animated film. Because firstly, that's kind of like what the comics are for. I know the comics aren't everywhere, but like it would feel in some form like a rehashing of what has already happened in the comics. Um, and honestly, considering how critical fans have already been of some of the presentation of the older gang in Legend of Korra, I feel like people aren't going to appreciate it enough considering like what's already been said. So I feel like that would cause more discourse than like people actually finding enjoyment in it. I think the thing that I would prefer most from the Avatar Studios is for more unknown stories and unknown avatars to be told. Oh, hold on. You think they're gonna ask? Oh, for the Legend of Genji. Um, it's possible. I don't know if they will. I think they are currently looking for new creators. Um, so they could do. Um, considering Legend of Genji has like quite a big following at the moment, it is possible. I'm not too sure, but you never know. But there are some, just in terms of fanfic, there are so many things going on at the moment. Obviously, there is on Instagram live action avatar who are on YouTube as official J&J. And actually, I've got all like links of stuff to some fanfic creators that kind of tie into a little bit that I wanted to talk about. So there is currently a live action show film that they're making completely off their own backs, called Avatar: The Last of the Airbenders, which is completely original characters set after the genocide of the Airbenders, and in particular the fact that one airbender managed to escape the initial genocide and is being chased down by a Fire Nation assassin. And it's a really interesting concept, and I think that's coming out next month actually on YouTube on their channel, which is linked. But things like that, like more original stories, and honestly not even necessarily about an avatar. I'd be interested in seeing things like things set during the 100-Year War, like Fire Nation soldiers questioning their duties, or what it was like in the Southern Water Tribes, or just the Water Tribes as a whole during the 100-Year War and everything that happened. Because we get a few little bits here, like what happened with Hummer and when she was kidnapped. So learning more about that, I think, would be interesting. But as a whole, I would just prefer more non-characters we already know be explored. So like previous avatars like Yang Chen, or even unknown avatars. There is currently a fanfic going on at the moment called Avatar New Beginnings, also known as Avatar Hanami, I think her name is, who is meant to be the second avatar after One. So she is an airbending Air Nation avatar. And it's a really interesting concept of like the second avatar in like ever, and how that story works. And it's a really interesting concept that I would be interested in seeing from Avatar Studios as well. And a few other things. There's White Lotus films that are also linked, as well as the Avatar Hanami or an Avatar New Begins. That's linked down in the description as well. So White Lotus films are creating a Dragon of the West 3-4 episode like mini series to do with Iroh's journey and how he became known as the Dragon of the West, meeting the dragons and stuff like that. And that's like a really interesting concept of like what Iroh was like, which I would be interested in seeing as well, kind of giving a bit more depth to him, or kind of showing the fact that, you know, he was a general in a war, he did commit some atrocities, and seeing how he went from that person who saw that the Fire Nation really didn't and wasn't doing anything wrong to the compassionate, philosophical person that we see in Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. It'd be interesting to learn more about that, and just in general, just more characters that we don't know. I'm just looking at some of the other comments here. They would probably start safe to start out with after 6 years off the air with new avatars. If it's very successful, we could have a few more ambitious spin-offs. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think they're definitely going to play it safe in some regards, which is why I'm slightly concerned that they're either going to go with the adult gang or just kind of turning things like maybe the Promise and the Search comics into an animated film or something. I'm not too sure how I would feel about that if that did happen, but I think it's probably a possibility. Would be interesting to see an Avatar in a futurist set, or no, that I completely agree. Some of the other fan comics that have been done, like Legend of Genji, but also Legend of Nico. I know I haven't listed put these in the description box, but I'll do that after. Legend of Nico, Two Eyes. It's very futuristic in the and they've got quite a lot of episodes out already. If you're interested in that, Hika's Spiritual Chronicles is also another one that is very futuristic in that regard because it's after Korra. What about the young Korra assassination attempt when she was... Oh, to do with the Red Lotus, maybe. Yeah, no, I've seen a few people mentioning that they're interested in the idea of the Red Lotus having a more of an origin story. Because admittedly, they were meant to have, I think, an origin episode for the Red Lotus, but obviously because Nickelodeon kind of sucked at the time, they didn't have enough time to actually do that. Same with Kuvira. I would like to know a little bit more about Kuvira in some form if we did. Yes, no, seriously, it would be so cool to learn about the second Avatar. I think that's like a big thing. Like either previous avatars, a new avatar, but there's someone who's more like distant future. Because then we've got more, like what everyone complained about with Legend of Korra is that it was too futuristic, it was too industrial. We wanted like the whimsy of Avatar, and I'm like, well, fine, okay, we'll give you this. And you'd definitely get that with the second Avatar. Fran projects and secrets will probably cover similar ground. After all, there were fanfics about the Avatar after Aang in 2009. Yeah, that's pretty true. I do agree with that. I wonder how they're kind of... I don't know if they'll actually do a sequel to Legend of Korra, considering how bad, sadly, Legend of Korra was received by fans. And I'm still kind of annoyed about it because it's Nick's fault, but the fans didn't really help. I don't think they'll ever do a follow-up sequel to Korra. Firstly, because there are already so many fan comics in general. But I think they're going to stick with things kind of in the past, like mid-war and stuff like that, and just kind of see how that goes. That sounds cool. I just want more of the line of the previous avatars. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I would love to see more about the previous avatars. Or a what if series. That I really like, because there's been loads of headcanons and theories of like, oh, what if it was the Water Tribe who took over the world, and so Sokka and Katara, like Sokka is the new Zuko, or Katara is the new Zuko, or something like that, and they're enemies, and Azula and Zuko are the people who find Aang, like that sort of twist. That would be very, very cool. I would be definitely down for that, for like a little mini series, maybe like an 8-episode thing of what if Aang wasn't the Avatar? What if Toph was the Avatar? What if Katara was the Avatar? Or something like that. That would be very, very cool. Yeah, I think there's lots of possibilities that can come from this. Definitely, my biggest concern is that I know there's been lots of conversations in recent years about the representation to do with Avatar. I highly recommend. I'm very sorry if I butcher the name. Ziran Zhao, I think that may be it. I'll put the links in the description for where you can find her channel. She's been doing like these really in-depth videos on the whole seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender about all the cultural significance of the series, what's included, and kind of how I didn't actually realize how kind of all over the place the Asian representation is within the show. So I think it, especially considering that like all the voice actors or the writing team almost were white, writing these stories to do with Asian influence. I think it'd be cool. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I've just seen this. I think it's a good sign that they've hired more Asian creators like FCE, Jin Yuan Yang, Dion Sim, Jenny Dorsey. I completely agree. And I think this is something that's kind of what I was getting onto here. I'm really like always kind of begging that they hire more Asian writers and animators and all these sort of things, and voice actors as well, because the only Asian voice actors that you really had that was involved with the main part of it were the side characters. And obviously Dante Bosco is, I believe he's Filipino. I don't want to say correctly exactly because I'm not 100%, but other than Dante Bosco, all the other voice actors were white for the main cast. It's not always the biggest deal, but it's something that is brought up. But writing in specifically, the writers team needs to be a lot more diverse than it has been in the past, 100%. And the fact that they have brought in people like FCE to write the Kyoshi books, Jin Yuan Yang for the comics, it's a good sign, and I do hope that they continue this and they hire more Asian writers and creatives for Avatar Studios to work on these shows and kind of provide more insight to the cultures that they are having influenced the Avatar universe and such. Oh, yes, they should hire Catchy905. Catchy905 is a genius. His artwork for the Rise of Kyoshi series, I adore it. I don't have all the links there, but I will be putting them there afterwards. Go check him out on Instagram. I believe he's also on YouTube, so I'll add in his YouTube links. And yeah, Ziran J Zhao, I really hope I'm saying your name correctly. I'm so sorry if I'm not. I've been watching her videos, and the cultural discussions that she has to do with Avatar: The Last Airbender are really, really interesting. I I would love for her to be hired to be involved with that discussion in some form for Avatar Studios, especially considering all the research that she's done for it, for like an hour-long video discussing it in depth. It's very cool. This is very, very true. I'm scared of Nick because despite everything, Avatar Studios is part of Nick. This is the thing, and I definitely understand this fear because I'm having this a little bit as well, especially considering everything that Legend of Korra went through. I do know that the new heads of the studio are, well, they're new. They're not the same people that were there during Legend of Korra. Nick as a whole seems to have changed a lot in its attitude. I'm not the biggest fan of how they have been capitalizing off things like Korra and Asami's relationship, when obviously, they kind of screwed with the Korra and Asami relationship when it first happened, but now they're using it to profit, like doing Korra in the bisexual colors for LGBT Pride and Pride Month. I'm like, yeah, but you wouldn't even let them hold hands without putting it to 11 o'clock at night. So yeah. This is a good point though. Hopefully Nick will be more hands off, and Avatar Studios will be able to handle their own budget. There's not just one show that they can cancel on a whim anymore. Completely agree. I think with it being its own studio, they're probably going to have more of a say, more of an involvement in everything that's going on. The creators, not Nick. I think Nick is going to be a little bit more away. I think they've kind of probably realized, because money speaks, that since Avatar and Korra went on Netflix and that had that huge boom of popularity because it was on Netflix, and like Avatar stayed at number one for what it was like 4, 5, 6 weeks on like the top watch thing on Netflix in the US and some other places. Same with Korra, ended up being at number one for like 2, 3 weeks when it came out as well. So I think they realized, oh yeah, we kind of messed up in the past, so we're going to come back and we're going to do better. And I think they're probably using the fact that more people are getting angry at the Netflix adaptation to their advantage in some form as well, which doesn't make sense because they are technically involved with the Netflix adaptation because they have like a joint thing. Anyway, if Nick let them do their own things, maybe they can go back to their golden era. Yeah, no, I hope so too. I hope Nick is going to be a lot more hands off this time around than they were with everything that happened in Legend of Korra. And yes, I'm still mad at the handling of Korrasami back in the day, especially with their capitalizing on it now because we love performative activism. But with all of that, the studio itself, I think, is a really interesting idea, but it could very easily go either way, which is why I'm hoping that they go for more original content than anything else. I think if they go for Older Gang or an Avatar After Korra, possibly, or anything like that, it can very easily saturate the market too much in those areas in general. I think going further back, like doing a film to do with Yang Chen or a mini series or a what if series, actually I think can work in the context of having the original team Avatar. But I think anything series wise or film wise that focuses on characters that we've already had an involvement with, I think there is the possibility of too many people not being happy with it. So I feel like it'd be safer, but probably also better in terms of world building and capitalizing on the world that they've created as a whole by going further back, by creating stories for the older avatars, by not even including avatars in some form, like I mentioned, to do with the stories set during the 100-Year War, like what official J&J studios are doing, like White Lotus Films are doing. I think there's a lot of potential as to how well or how badly this can go. And it can definitely go either way. So I'm tentatively excited. Another thing here. I'm concerned about no matter how good the writing, the series, it will slowly decline if they release back-to-back sequels and spin-offs, example Marvel. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't want regular things. I think this is like how the comics have been doing. Like they maybe release one Korra comic a year, almost more than a year later. So like the last series of comics for Korra, Ruins of an Empire, the last one came out in like March last year, and the new trilogy isn't coming out until like the end of this year. So that's nearly 2 years. So it's sort of that separation between the timeline, I think, will be better. Yeah, I definitely don't want it to be saturated. Oh, hey, Around the Campfire. Hey guys, how you doing? If anyone here is a writer, go check out Around the Campfire. Like, highly, highly recommend. But yeah, no, I would love to see a mini series that focuses around the different avatars. It would be really, really interesting just to kind of learn a little bit more. I think that will help in terms of obviously, especially with the Kyoshi novels. Roku is currently being dubbed the worst avatar, considering how badly he did mess up. So it'd be interesting to learn a little bit more about him in like a small 30-40 minute animated episode about his life and his journey. For unknown avatars, maybe like a bigger, like a mini series of itself, like not just like a single episode, but something like that. I think there's a lot of potential with this series as a whole and this studio, that there's so many different things that you could do. And just as a whole, yeah, I'm tentatively excited. I'm hoping that the writing team this time around, firstly, that they'll actually have a writing team, especially considering if you guys watched my last video, there were 5 writers in total for 2 of the seasons of Legend of Korra, and most of the other seasons had like 2-3 writers. So I'm hoping they have a big writing team, The writing team itself is more diverse. And just as a whole, like I hope that they have the ability to be creative in what they're doing here, and both are aware of the fans and also kind of try not to worry too much about what the fans want and think at the same time. I think that was the issue in some forms of The Legend of Korra, is that the fans were incredibly vocal and not always in the best way. So I'm hoping, firstly, that fans actually do better this time around, but that the creators themselves they do something that they themselves are going to enjoy more than anything. Or we've got a theory here: movies, adult gang, or I'm definitely more for Red Lotus or anything like that. I don't. I mentioned before, I'm one of those people, I really would prefer like to not have any characters that we like know too much about. So the Red Lotus I'm here for, or something to do, yeah, with Yukon for like a setup to what happens in the Legend of Korra. TV shows post Korra avatars. That one I don't know if they will, just because of how many fanfics there are, but it'd be interesting. And I would love to see so many more novels. I'm really disappointed that fans didn't read enough of the novels for things like translations to happen. So I'm hoping more people kind of read them a lot more, just because it's disappointing that people didn't. But yeah, I'd love to learn more about Karuk. I would love like a mini side story about Karuk, maybe in like a mini episode or something, or even just a mini series. This is really cool. I'm very excited that there's an RPG game coming for Avatar. But the game has rules for playing in Roku's era, so maybe we'll learn about his life. That is I kind of hope so. That'd be really interesting. Like Roku since learning about Karuk, Roku is dropped very, very low on the avatars who've done well. So I'd be interested to learn a bit more about him. Around the campfire, exactly what I'm thinking. There's so much room to explore the world and other avatars. Exactly. And that's why I'm very excited. Like, it's why I kind of hope they don't stick with the characters that we already know, like the gang, like things in Korra's time. Like, go further back, go to people that we kind of just about recognize, like the past avatars. Bring in new characters, bring in new adventures, kind of step away from that and expand further into this world and universe that we know and love, and help us know more about it and learn more about it and love more about it. Like give them space and a large amount of time, just like how we're waiting for a new Korra. Exactly, yes. Give more time to everything that's going on. Give the creators space to create. Like as I mentioned in my Korra writing video, season 3 and 4 of Korra was written within 2-3 months of each other. That is not enough time to create a 12 to 14 episode, well, in the two of them together, 26 episodes of a TV show in less than a year is ridiculous. So give them the time to do it so it can be as good as we know that the Avatar world deserves. I'm ordering my own copies of the books when I get paid. Oh yes, I'm very excited. I hope you enjoy the Kyoshi novels. I don't know what the game's called, but yeah, it's from Magpie Games, as it said here. So it's going to be produced by Magpie Games. I am hopefully sending in a CV because I would love to write one of the scenarios for this game. That'd be amazing. The novels did get to number 1 on the NYT list for fantasy, so hopefully there's enough demand for more. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was cool that it got that. I wish more Avatar fans had supported the books. Like I mentioned earlier, most people that I speak to, other than the actual Avatar groups I'm in, like the Kyoshi novels Discord I'm in, most other Avatar fans haven't read the books. Well, I say most, okay, slight generalization. Most of the fans that I've spoken to haven't read the Kyoshi books, which is a little bit disappointing, but I'm hoping more people will read the books. And yes, no, I am looking forward to the game as well. I'm wondering if maybe it is in connection in some form with Avatar Studios, because that would be very, very cool. Imagine if like the scenarios that the game comes up with are turned into a mini series themselves. That would be very, very cool. Now I kind of want that. As a Star Wars fan, I can confirm Avatar fatigue will be a thing. Focusing on the more popular show will be successful for 2 years max. It will just get tired of those characters. Yeah, I think that's a slight concern that I have, is that they're gonna do too much, and then we kind of get not bored with the world, but after a while it loses its majesty, in a sense of like the high regard that we had it in. By learning more, some of the mystery does kind of get lost in some form. I would be more interested, just because of that, of just knowing more characters and different things. But yeah, spread it out a lot more. Don't have like a film out every year or every two or something like that. Just spread it out, give them room to breathe, kind of really work on it. And yeah, I'm like I keep saying, I'm tentatively optimistic. But I'm hoping that firstly fans give it the chance. Like, people are excited at the moment, but people were interested and tentatively excited about the Netflix thing, and now suddenly every couple of weeks it's cancel Avatar on Netflix because of some rumor that's going around. Ones that are never actually ever confirmed, and then it disappears. I'm like, guys, actually wait until there's something official that comes out. Yeah, so I think that's why I'm more tentatively excited, because, well, all the stuff that happened with Legend of Korra, firstly, all the things that are currently going on with the Avatar Netflix show, and everyone, like, the moment the Avatar studios were announced, everyone was instantly just like, bugger you, Netflix, we don't care about you, we've now got this. And I'm like, but you were excited about that before. And yes, obviously Bryke left and people were less excited, but like, there's a lot of seesawing that does go on in this fandom, I find, which is, it happens everywhere, but I'm concerned that that could happen with Avatar Studios if it doesn't go the way of some fans. I know there are lots of fans who are incredibly vocal, who continue to talk about the non-existent book 4 of Avatar. That was something that Aaron has said. He wanted it. Mike and Brian never planned for a book 4. That was a complete rumor, complete lie that Aaron made up. It says in their documentary that it was always planned for like a 3-book series. Oh, hold on, what's this? I meant focusing too much on the last Airbender. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Focusing too much on Aang's story, the world with Aang, is where the fatigue will come in. If they don't expand out elsewhere, I think that can cause a lot of issues. I think, like, people will get very tired of that eventually. To be honest, I was always a little iffy about a reboot, because resetting the universe seemed a bit uncreative. Avatar Studios will probably be telling new stories. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I was always tentative about that one in general, just because live action adaptations and remakes have always been a bit, But I think there is a possibility of, like, kind of the idea, like Avatar: The Last Airbender. As much as people say it's perfect, it's not perfect. It has its issues. Things can always have some form of an improvement. I did always think The Legend of Korra should have been the one that got the live action remake, or I can't think of what the other word was, because that was the one that got screwed over the most by Nickelodeon. But yeah, there's pros and cons that goes with everything. So that's why I'm sticking to the tentatively optimistic. I would love to be involved in some form, just because as a gay woman, I would love to have more gay representation in the Avatar universe. The Rise of Kyoshi books gave us so much more of that. I'm so thrilled that they did. And I would love to see that more on screen in some way. I'm hoping Nickelodeon has kind of grown up a little bit more since everything that happened previously. But I would, yeah, that's something I really, really do want. I want to see more queer representation in the Avatar universe in any way that it can be shown. And so I'm excited to see if that does happen. I know fans dislike this, but it would be a good idea to rewrite book 2. I don't know if it can be rewritten, because that means all of book 3 and book 4 would have had to change. So you'd have to rewrite everything almost. So there's kind of not really a way to do that simply. And honestly, book 2 of Korra isn't that bad. it's got its issues due mainly to Nickelodeon messing about with production and the animation teams and rushing out this season. Um, but it's really not that bad. Um, uh, Unlike in 2014 or even 2005, there are probably zero restrictions on LGBT characters, possibly even trans. Yes, no, I completely agree. I think now that they're going to do so much better. I think if there was one thing that they were going to do by having Avatar: Last Airbender universe, confirm that Smellerbee is a trans woman. I I love this headcanon so much. I love the idea of Smellerbee, and it kind of makes sense to the conversations that do happen. That's the only thing that I would like. Confirm that, or just introduce. If you're going to have another series, have LGBT representation in some form. Like the Avatar universe is so vast and incredible, and as we learn from the comics, like the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation were the ones who had like a little bit more of the issues, but Water Tribe, they're conservative, but they don't really care. Air Nation love everyone. They're like, love who you love. We don't care. Be who you are. Love who you love. And if we do Yang Chen, I'm just saying, give Yang Chen a lesbian companion, not to be in a relationship with, but just so I can input myself into that character. I don't know. There's just something about it, and from what we know from the Turf Wars comic, it is possible to input queer characters into the Avatar universe, and this is a great opportunity to expand further into that, whether it be having a new series of characters like what Avatar live action are doing on official J&J of Avatar: The Last of the Airbenders, which is set just after the genocide. What Dragon of the West that White Lotus Studios are doing, which is sort of an Iroh's origins of becoming the Dragon of the West. What Avatar New Beginnings or Avatar Hanami is doing, which is the Avatar after one. There are so many things that people are doing at the moment that it just shows that Avatar Studios has so much it can work with within their own universe, that there are so many possibilities. And as I know from Avatar New Beginnings and from the White Lotus Studios to do with Iroh's story, these are creators who are inputting themselves into the story. Like, I know that there are characters in the Dragon of the West YouTube series that are gender non-conforming, that are themselves gay, and all these sort of things. And just for them just being like, yeah, no, we want to represent that. Like, that is our identity. That's the identity of our actors. That is the identity of people that we care about. We want to make sure that they're seen, even though it's a fan film, we want to make sure people are seen in this. And I just love the idea of that. And I'm hoping, especially considering how vocal Brian I know of, I think Mike is as well. But Brian especially has been incredibly vocal about the work that he does with charities and for Pride and all these sort of things, and how defensive and like defending of Korrasami and Korrasami fans, that it's almost a guarantee, as long as Nickelodeon don't interfere, that there will be queer representation in some form. And that's something I'm really, really looking forward to. And I know I'm going on about this a little bit, but it's something that is really important to me in some form. If they make a new series, are you ready for the cycle of fanboy? I feel like I know what that is, but at the same time I don't. Can you explain a little bit what that is? Imagine if there is a rated R section where we can see certain portions of the wall, like the Airbenders, Iroh, Siege, and Basing saying. Admittedly, I would be kind of down for that, especially from reading the Kyoshi novels, which themselves were very, very dark and very bloody and gory in some form. And Korra as well. Like, Korra is itself very dark in comparison to Last Airbender. I would be very down for them doing more darker versions of something. Maybe still some lighter stuff, like for the younger audience, but having some series or a film or something like that is a lot darker would be very, very cool, and I'd be very down to see that. But yeah, there's a lot that can be done, and I'm intrigued as to see how they're gonna go about it. I realise I've spoken a lot longer than I intended to, but you guys have a lot of interesting thoughts, and I had a lot more thoughts than I thought I did. A mini series of that would be awesome. Yeah, give me more R-rated or like some heavy fights. Like make firebending look painful. Make earthbending look more painful. Like when you're getting hit with a rock, like that's gonna hurt. um, I'm wondering if they could write about a completely unknown period. Yeah, completely. Oh, Lahim, a story centered around Guru Lahima or having him feature in it would be amazing. I like the idea of it sort of being an old republic. That's would sort of be like how the second Avatar would be like that sort of very old generation sort of element. There's just so much to work with, and I think that's what's really interesting. But it can definitely go either way, really, which is always nerve wracking. But I'm looking forward to see how it goes. Um, I think I'm going to finish up here because I have probably taken up enough of you guys' time today. Um, but yeah, tentatively optimistic. I'm looking forward to it all the same. I'm intrigued to see how they're doing. And if Mike and Brian are ever watching, I am a screenwriter. If you'd be interested in hiring me for the queer voice, I'm available. Oh, hold on. There we go. To explain the cycle, it's whenever there's a new work to come out of the franchise, the previous work that used to get a lot of hate. Yes, okay. I feel like Legend of Korra Legend of Korra's been getting a bit more of a good rep in recent times, but yeah, that is definitely a way in which that could go, so it'd be interesting. Oh, should the Legend of Korra have a film noir setting? Possibly. It kind of half does, and no worries, Michael. This has been a lot of fun talking to you guys about all this and hearing you guys' thoughts as well. Yeah, I'm just going to put this up here. This is going to be the last thing everyone sees. Hi, Fran. Hi, Fran. I'm going to go for the Magpie Games thing. I'm going to try and see if I can figure out how to do this. It's very exciting. I'm looking forward to this. There's so much to be done. There's so much to talk about. Oh, just to say with this, if you want a teen boomy, in the description box is a White Lotus Films whose Iroh's origin story features a young boomy. So go check them out and subscribe to their channel because their first episode drops sometime in March. So 10 out of 10 resume. Yeah, this whole video is my whole YouTube channel is a resume to to Avatar and why they should hire me for Avatar Studios. Basically the only reason hire me because I like writing scripts and also I'll make it gay. So, well, I'll help make it gay. I won't make the whole. Could I? No, I won't make the whole thing gay, but I can help in that regard. Oh God, that's probably not the best. Oh well, it's done now. We've said it. It's out there. Mike and Brian, hi me, please. Oh, to all you guys, thank you so much for tuning in for this. I really do appreciate it. As I always say at the end of my videos, in the description box are the links to all of my social media where if you want to kind of see a little bit more to do with my writing there, that is the place to do so. There's also the link to my Patreon where if you want to get early access to most of my videos, they're kind of ahead of everyone else, well, that is the place to do so. Can't support me on Patreon? Don't worry, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down to this video, and yeah, I appreciate it all. And sorry, just final question. I have heard of these. Avatar Hanami is the one that I've been mentioning a few times. Links to that is in the description. I'll be putting the links to all the other fan content that I have mentioned and all the other channel creators that I've mentioned as well, just so you guys can go and support them too. Avatar is we're doing great. We need to support many creators and kind of, especially those who are creating content and working for this fandom. For those who are watching after the live has ended, let me know in the comments what you would be interested in seeing from Avatar Studios. And to everyone watching now, thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.